Hi, my name is Laura Marasco, and my practicum for Liberty University took place in Oaxaca, Mexico. The concentration of this project was on diabetes and hypertension in a community in Oaxaca City. On the next slide, the purpose of my practicum was to concentrate on global health, and Child Family Health International was a great avenue to make that happen. CFHI has global programs in which students can participate in the delivery of healthcare in areas in Africa, Mexico, and the Philippines. I decided that programs in Oaxaca, Mexico would be a good fit for me to conduct my practicum. I would be taking part in the delivery of primary care in a public health clinic in one of the poorest states in Mexico. The poverty rate is around 65.9% in Oaxaca, while the national rate for Mexico is much lower at 49.5%. Oaxaca may be impoverished, but it is recognized for its rich indigenous culture and heritage. Roughly 53% of Oaxacans are part of the largest indigenous population in Mexico. At least 16 different languages are spoken in Oaxaca, many groups only speaking their native language, which has led to barriers in healthcare in certain areas. Sweeping healthcare reforms in Mexico in 2004 has led to the development of public clinics who serve people with Seguro Popular or popular insurance. Seguro Popular is responsible for the population outside of the Social Security program. It provides access to basic primary care, disease prevention, and health promotion. Although there have been major steps towards bettering public health in Oaxaca, there are still barriers that prevent programs from having a larger impact. These barriers include great disparities in health services, education, employment, and incomes. These barriers directly affect the mortality rates of chronic degenerative diseases. The goal of this practicum was to eliminate a barrier. On the next slide, the methods for this practicum are addressed. For 20 days, I was in a public health clinic called Centro de Salud Ejido Guadalupe Victoria, which is located about 4 miles outside of central Oaxaca City. My research and observations were driven by 3 questions. 1. What are the most common chronic conditions patients face in this clinic? 2. Are these conditions managed? If not, what reasons could cause the mismanagement of these conditions? 3. Can factors be identified that may cause the vulnerability of these conditions? I used patient case files, national data collections, and non-participant observations to determine which chronic illnesses were the most prevalent and weaknesses in the treatment and prevention of these illnesses. On the next slide, observations and data collection determined that diabetes and hypertension were the most common chronic illnesses in the community. In 2018, the graph shows that every month consistently had the most patients presenting with diabetes and hypertension over all other chronic conditions. Non-participant observations determined that the majority of patients seen for these 2 conditions did not have them under control. This was mainly due to diet and relying solely on medications. Vulnerabilities to hypertension and diabetes included, but are not limited to, education, poverty, language, and culture. On the next slide, the barrier I sought to eliminate when it comes to the prevention and treatment of hypertension and diabetes is education. Educational opportunities for this community were not technology-based like they are in the United States. Pamphlets seem to be the best educational tool for the community surrounding the Centro de Salud Ejido Guadalupe Victoria. The pamphlets I designed sought out to address a few problems I had found during observations. The first problem was education. The community lacked education concerning healthy habits, and also nearly 6% of the population in Oaxaca is illiterate, and about 51.8% of the population did not go beyond grade school. The next problem I found was that the clinic served a fairly large indigenous population due to its proximity to the mountains and rural areas. Language barriers were an issue, as many indigenous people knew little Spanish. The pamphlets were approved by the doctors in the clinic, and if kept in the clinic, will have the potential to reach over 1,000 people per year, according to the data that roughly more than 80 people are seen per month for these chronic conditions. The pamphlet will first be distributed at the local health fair that took place November 4th, 2019. After that, one of the doctors stated that she will keep them on hand at the clinic as well as use them on other health fairs in the future. On the next slide is the pamphlet with diabetics. As you can see, I kept it clean, simple wording, and included images. The idea was to catch someone's eye regardless of whether or not they picked up the pamphlet at the health fair. I included photos to help lessen the language barrier as well. I also included traditional and common foods in Oaxaca. For example, postres or desserts should be avoided, and berries are a better option for diabetics. On the next slide is the pamphlet for hypertensives. Sticking with traditional and available foods, I included soups and traditional Oaxacan cheese called quesillo as a dangerous option, while introducing pomegranates and a photo of available fruits as an alternative. The next slide includes a general announcement for community members. The first line says, "You take care of your family, don't forget to take care of yourself." I used simple one-word attention grabbers like exercise, change, and don't forget to prompt people to read the rest. Exercise 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes. Play your favorite sport. Include your children. Change what you eat if you are diabetic, hypertensive, or obese. And don't forget your appointments and listen to your doctor. On the next slide is my recommendations. This area of Oaxaca is full of tradition and culture, but when it comes to communication and education with the shift in the way of life that is present today, it is severely lacking. There is a lot of information from the government and health programs available on the internet, but the community I was in still uses flip phones as their main source of communication. The younger groups have smartphones, but may lack the education to help them with resources that they could find on the internet. Or they cannot read well, and they only watch videos and message, but cannot absorb information about their health online. There are internet cafes where a person can purchase 30 minutes of internet for about 10 pesos, because the majority of the community does not have a computer at home. Unfortunately, this community isn't turning to the internet for answers. Word of mouth, education in school, pamphlets, and advice from their doctor in the clinic is the only exposure people in this community have to making the right choices when it comes to their health. Educational workshops, flyers, advertising those workshops would be the best supplement to the pamphlets now available at this clinic. Even making educational workshops mandatory to keep Seguro Popular might be an option, or at the very least, when patients go to renew their insurance, they were given a sheet with a list of available workshops. More research needs to be done in these communities to really find a solution, but I had a lot of fun and it was great, and I am so excited that my pamphlets were accepted and will be used in the future. Thank you.